When I opened my eyes, my head felt thick and heavy, like I'd spent the night in a sleeper hold. I rubbed my neck and sat up, staring blankly at the ceiling. This was the 5th time this week. Every morning, I woke up feeling like I'd been hit by a truck. There wasn't a single part of my body that didn't ache. Was it my mattress? Just as I was thinking about calling customer service to complain, my bedroom door creaked open a few inches. "Liam, you awake?" Chloe's voice slipped through the crack, still a little sweet and husky with sleep, a stark contrast to her usual quiet demeanor. I turned to look. She was standing there in a faded old pajama set, her hair sticking up in a messy halo, the corners of her eyes a little red. She was the little sister my mom had saddled me with last year. She said Chloe was the daughter of an old neighbor from back home, and since her parents were working out of state, she needed me to look after her in the city. When my mom first brought her over, the girl looked like a strong gust of wind could blow her away. She kept her head bowed, so low her chin was practically touching her chest, and answered my questions in one-word mumbles. You'd think I was about to sell her into indentured servitude. I'd originally thought it would be a huge pain, but it turned out Chloe was a great cook and ridiculously tidy. She transformed my disaster of an apartment, which usually looked like a bomb had gone off in it, into a place that was actually livable. At that point, I was too lazy to kick her out. "Yeah, I'm up," I said, rubbing my neck as I swung my legs over the side of the bed. "Is breakfast ready?" "MHM, I made oatmeal and some scrambled eggs, the way you like them." Chloe pushed the door open and came in, holding a glass of warm water. "Here, rinse your mouth out first." As she handed me the glass, I leaned forward and the tip of my nose brushed against her wrist. I caught a faint scent of shampoo, mixed with something clean, like laundry dried in the sun. She looked thin, but her hands were soft, with slender fingers. I took a couple of sips of water, then looked up as a thought struck me. "Hey, did you hear anything weird last night?" Chloe, who was bending down to get my slippers, froze for a second. A tuft of hair at the back of her head seemed to stand at attention. "W weird? Like what?" "From my room," I said, frowning as I kneaded the back of my neck. "I'm starting to think I'm sleepwalking or something. Why else would I wake up feeling so beat up every morning?" Chloe straightened up, the tips of her ears turning a little pink. "And no, I didn't hear anything. Maybe you're just tired from work, Liam." "Tired is one thing, but this sore?" I mumbled, getting out of bed. The moment my feet touched the floor, I stumbled. A sharp pain shot through my lower back, like someone had taken a hammer to it. I sucked in a sharp breath. "Liam," Chloe rushed to steady me, her palm surprisingly hot against my arm. "What's wrong?" "It's nothing, just my back acting up." I waved my hand, trying to brush her off, but she insisted on pushing me back down onto the bed. "What are you doing?" "Let me give you a massage." Chloe knelt by the bed and looked up at me, her eyes sparkling like a kitten waiting for praise. I used to do this for my grandma. She always complained about her back hurting. I couldn't say no to that look, so I flopped onto my stomach. "Okay, but be gentle. Don't snap me in half." "Okay." When her hands pressed down on my back, I almost grunted out loud. Her touch was perfect, not too hard, not too soft, and she found the exact spot that was killing me. Her hands were delicate, and honestly, it felt way better than any professional massage I'd ever had. I was drifting off, half asleep, when I suddenly remembered the strange things I'd seen when I first woke up. They looked like the live comments on a YouTube stream, white text scrolling in front of my eyes. User 897. He's awake. The MC is finally awake. Fangirl_22. My heart is breaking. She lost control again last night. Look at the marks on his neck. Secret watcher. Don't even talk about it. I can't stop thinking about the sounds last night. Sounded like the bed frame was about to give out. Anon_commenter. Who would have thought Chloe looks like a little bunny but is such a beast at night? LMEO New Master 69. And he thinks he's sleepwalking. I'm dead. At the time, I'd assumed I was just groggy and my eyes were playing tricks on me. But now, with Chloe's massage clearing my head, a chill went down my spine. I whipped my head around. "Chloe, are you sure you didn't hear anything last night?" Her hands froze on my back, her eyes darting away. I really didn't. Why you keep asking, Liam?" "No reason." I turned back around, but not a suspicion was forming in my stomach. Was there something seriously wrong with this girl? After rubbing my back, Chloe went to the kitchen to plate our breakfast. The oatmeal was thick and creamy, the scrambled eggs were perfectly fluffy, and even the side of bacon was arranged neatly on the plate. I sat at the table eating, watching Chloe bustle around the kitchen. She was washing the shirt I'd worn yesterday. It was a nice cotton button-down that I was always afraid of shrinking, but she was there, gently scrubbing a stain on the cuff with a soft bristle brush, more careful with it than I ever was. "You don't have to hand wash that, just toss it in the machine," I called out. "The washer is too rough. I don't want to ruin it," she called back without turning around. "It's faster if I do it by hand anyway." I shrugged and went back to my oatmeal. Come to think of it, this girl had come a long way. When she first arrived, she barely knew how to use a smartphone, spoke with a thick small-town accent, and blushed whenever anyone looked at her. My original plan was to let her stay for a couple of months, help her find a job at Target or something, and send her on her way. But she'd gone and enrolled herself in night classes for graphic design and was now working as a junior designer at a small agency. She usually got home later than I did, but still insisted on making dinner and cleaning up. "By the way," I said after swallowing a bite of egg, "did you get paid this month?" Chloe's movements faltered. Her voice was quiet. "Why, yes." "Then keep it for yourself. Stop buying me stuff all the time." I tapped the table for emphasis. "That electric razor you bought me last month was over $100. What's your monthly salary even?" "It's fine, as long as you like using it." She turned around, wiping her hands on her apron. "I don't really need money for anything." "You don't need money for makeup?" I teased. Her face instantly turned crimson, so red it looked like her ears might actually start bleeding. She looked down, fumbling with the plate in her hands, and didn't say a word. Seeing her flustered like that, I couldn't help but laugh. And right then, the white text floated into my vision again. LOL_master. Ha ha ha, she's blushing. True simp. She's totally thinking. Buying makeup isn't as important as buying things for my man. The Oracle, this. You see how she always buys him expensive stuff? Meanwhile, she's wearing a t-shirt that probably cost $10. Gossip girl. Last night I swear I heard her whispering to his photo, "Just need to save a little more money and then I can marry you." The secondhand embarrassment is real. WTF_dude. OMG, she was smelling his boxers when she was doing the laundry. That's next level creepy. I nearly spit out a mouthful of oatmeal. Smelling. My boxers. My head snapped toward the kitchen. Chloe was hanging the freshly washed laundry on the drying rack. Her movements perfectly normal. But thinking about what the comments said, the hairs on the back of my neck stood up. This girl seemed so innocent. Was she secretly a total creep? I pulled out my phone, opened the Amazon app, and typed 2 words into the search bar. Melatonin gummies. I didn't care if it was actual sleepwalking or not. I was going to drug myself into a coma. My hand was shaking a little as I hit buy now. I also added a bottle of calm magnesium powder to my cart for good measure. Chloe finished with the laundry and came over, noticing me staring at my phone. "What's wrong, Liam?" she asked cautiously. "Is it something with work?" "It's nothing." I shoved my phone in my pocket and looked at her. "You have a day off today." "Yeah, it's my rotating day off." She pulled out the chair across from me and sat down, hands on her knees, her back ramrod straight like a student in class. Looking at her prim and proper posture, and then thinking about those comments, I felt a weird sense of dissonance. Was this girl genuinely this innocent, or was it all an act? "Hey," I clear my throat. "I haven't been sleeping well lately. You're a light sleeper, right? If you hear anything from my room tonight, do me a favor and wake me up." Chloe's eyes flickered. She nodded eagerly. "Okay, I will, Liam." And I held her gaze. "If you get up in the middle of the night and see me wandering around, don't freak out. Just shake me awake." "Okay." Chloe's voice was a little hoarse. I was about to probe further, but my phone rang. It was my boss. There was a problem with one of the projects, and he needed me to come in right away. I grabbed my bag and headed for the door. Chloe followed, right behind me, step for step. "I'll walk you down, Liam. Don't worry about it. I'm driving." "Okay, then drive safe." She opened the door for me, holding her hand protectively over the top of the door frame so I wouldn't hit my head. I grunted in acknowledgement and walked to the elevator. Just as the doors were about to open, I heard her call out again. "Liam." I turned back. She was standing in the doorway, gripping the frame so tightly her knuckles were white. "What's up?" I can bring you lunch, maybe?" she asked, her head down, her voice as quiet as a mosquito's buzz. "I know you always forget to eat when you get busy." "Nah, the office has a cafeteria. The cafeteria food is gross." She suddenly looked up, her eyes shining. I'll make your favorite. Pot roast. There was no way I could refuse that look. I sighed and nodded. Fine, but don't make too much. Okay. She broke into a huge smile, revealing 2 small dimples. She looked so endearingly goofy. As the elevator doors closed, I caught my reflection in the polished steel. I noticed a faint red mark on the side of my neck. You couldn't see it unless you were looking for it, but it looked exactly like a hickey. I touched it, and my stomach dropped. There's no way. I could have given that to myself while sleepwalking, right? When I got to the office, it turned out the project problem was just a misunderstanding. By noon, everything was sorted out. I was about to head to the cafeteria when the receptionist called me, saying someone was here with a delivery for me. I went out to the lobby and saw Chloe standing there, holding an insulated lunch tote. She was wearing a simple, slightly worn sundress that looked out of place among all the business suits. She was clearly nervous, her free hand fidgeting at her side. When she saw me, her eyes lit up for a second before she quickly looked down at the floor. What are you doing here? I walked over. I told you not to make too much. It's not much, just the pot roast, a side of vegetables, and some soup. She handed the tote to me, her fingers brushing against mine. She snatched her hand back like she'd been zapped. You should go eat before it gets cold. What about you? I'll just eat when I get back home. Come on, eat with me. I have a microwave in my office. I grabbed her arm and started pulling her toward the elevators. You can see for yourself just how bad our cafeteria food is. Chloe stumbled along behind me, her face turning red again. She mumbled, "You don't have to, Liam," but she didn't pull away. Back in my office, I opened the containers. The rich aroma of pot roast filled the air. It was tender and savory, with a beautiful dark glaze. It looked incredible. Mark from the next cubicle over poked his head in. "Whoa, Walker, where'd you order that from? Smells amazing." "My sister made it," I said, puffing my chest out with pride. Chloe, standing off to the side, ducked her head even lower, but her ears were glowing. "No way. Your sister is that good a cook?" Mark slapped me on the shoulder. "She's cute, and she can cook. Does she have a boyfriend? I've got some great guys I could set her up with." Chloe's head snapped up, a flash of panic in her eyes. Her mouth opened like she wanted to say something, but then she glanced at me and swallowed her words. Her reaction was so cute, I couldn't resist teasing her. "Nope, she's single." "Who'd you have in mind?" "Well, my cousin's a great guy, really sharp, good personality." Before Mark could finish, Chloe blurted out, "I'm not looking for a boyfriend." Her voice was quiet but firm. Mark paused, and I was a little surprised myself. This girl was usually as quiet as a mouse, but now she was jumping into the conversation. "Why not? You're a great catch," Mark said good-naturedly. Chloe didn't answer. She just snuck a look at me, her expression a complicated mix of hurt and something else I couldn't quite place. For some reason, that look made me feel a little strange. I quickly changed the subject. All right. Let's eat before everything gets cold." I handed Chloe a fork, and her fingers trembled slightly as she took it. The two of us ate in my office, and Mark, taking the hint, didn't bother us again. Chloe barely ate anything. She spent most of the time putting more pot roast on my plate until it was piled high. "You need to eat too," I said, pushing the container closer to her. "MHM." She took a couple of small bites of rice, then looked up. "Liam, are you going to be busy this afternoon?" "Nope. Should be a quiet one. I'll probably head out around 3 or 4. Then, can I come pick you up?" Her eyes were filled with hopeful anticipation. "No need. It's easier for me to just drive myself." The light in her eyes dimmed. She looked down and poked at the rice in her bowl, looking like a dejected kitten. Seeing her like that, my heart softened. I was about to say, "Sure, why not?" when a damn text appeared in my vision again. "Sad panda. Ah, poor girl just wants to pick up her man from work and gets rejected. Grammar cop, roommate. He's her roommate/brother figure. Just saying, but what brother? It's not real. They're just from the same town, barely related. Secret diary. Last night, she was hugging his pillow and crying, whispering, "When will you finally be mine?" Creep watcher. Okay, that's a bit much. Smelling his boxers, hugging his pillow. Major stalker vibes. True love truther. You don't get it. That's what true love looks like. I choked on a piece of carrot and started coughing violently. Chloe immediately handed me her water bottle and started patting my back gently. "Liam, slow down. No one's going to steal your food." Her hand was still so warm. I could feel the heat through my thin dress shirt. I took a gulp of water to clear my throat and looked up at her. She was watching me with pure, unadulterated concern, her eyes as innocent as a lamb's. If what those comments were saying was true, then this girl deserved an Oscar. I got home a little after 3. As soon as I opened the door, I heard a sound from inside, like someone humming. I slipped off my shoes and walked in to see Chloe mopping the living room floor, humming a cheerful, nameless tune. She was wearing a white t-shirt, and her arms, though slender, looked strong. She was a completely different person from the frail girl who had first shown up at my door. Hearing the door open, she turned around, her eyes brightening. "Liam, you're back." "Yeah, got out early today." I dropped onto the couch. "Dinner ready already?" "Almost. Just have to finish the soup." She propped the mop against the wall and wiped her hands. "You must be tired. I cut up some fruit for you." Sure enough, there was a plate of freshly sliced apples on the coffee table, looking crisp and sweet. I took a slice. It was delicious. Chloe stood nearby, watching me eat with a constant smile on her face, like a kid waiting to be praised. "By the way," I said after swallowing, "I think there's something wrong with my bed. When you're sleeping tonight, if you hear any noise from my room, make sure you wake me up." The smile on Chloe's face froze for a split second before she nodded. "Okay, I will, Liam. Are you a deep sleeper?" "No, not at all. I'm a very light sleeper." She paused, then added, "The slightest noise wakes me up." "Good to know." I nodded, but a new worry crept in. If she was really doing what the comments said, would telling her this just make her bolder? As I was mulling it over, Chloe suddenly asked, "Liam, can I sleep in your room tonight?" I nearly choked on my apple. "What did you just say?" And no, I didn't mean it like that. Her face flushed completely, and she started wringing her hands. "I meant I could sleep on the floor. That way, if you start sleepwalking, I can wake you up right away." "No, that's okay. I can handle it." I rejected the offer immediately. If she was in my room, I wouldn't be able to sleep at all. "But your back was hurting yesterday," she said. Her head hung low, her voice muffled. "I'm just worried you'll get hurt." "Honestly, it's fine. I took some melatonin, so I'm sure I'll sleep like a log." I stood up. "I'm gonna go lie down for a bit. Call me when dinner's ready." I practically fled to my bedroom, closing the door and leaning against it, my heart pounding. What was with her today? How could she even suggest something like that? Did something I said give her the wrong idea? I pulled out my phone and checked the tracking on the melatonin I'd ordered. It was out for delivery and should arrive tomorrow. Tonight, I just have to tough it out. At dinner, Chloe made a feast of all my favorite foods. She kept piling food onto my plate, but barely touched her own, just watched me with this intense, sticky gaze. It was making me uncomfortable. I shoveled down a few bites and declared I was full. "Have a little more, Liam." "You barely ate anything today," she said, trying to give me more. "I'm full, seriously. On a diet." I put my fork down. "You're not fat. You don't need a diet." She looked at me with earnest eyes. "You'd look even better if you were a little more built." I felt my face flush. "What do you know about it?" I grumbled, trying to sound stern. She ducked her head, but I saw a little smile play on her lips. After dinner, I made the excuse that I had to work and hid in my room. I didn't actually have anything to do. I just didn't want to be in the same space as her. The whole situation felt too weird. I sat at my desk, scrolling through videos on YouTube, but my eyes kept darting toward the door. I had the unshakable feeling that someone was on the other side. Around 11, I was too exhausted to stay up any longer. I shut down my computer and got ready for bed. But I couldn't fall asleep. I tossed and turned, feeling a strange chill in the air, like I was being watched. I checked my phone again. The melatonin would be here tomorrow morning. Just one more night. I psyched myself up, pulled the covers over my head, and forced my eyes shut. I don't know how much time passed, but in that hazy space between sleep and wakefulness, I felt someone stroking my hair. The touch was feather-light and warm, and it felt exactly like Chloe's hand. My stomach dropped, and my eyes flew open. The room was pitch black. I couldn't see anything except the faint outlines of furniture illuminated by the sliver of moonlight coming through the curtains. I held my breath and listened. Silence. Was I dreaming? I let out a slow breath and rolled over, tried to go back to sleep. But then I felt it, a puff of warm air on the back of my neck. Every hair on my body stood on end. My heart hammered against my ribs so hard I thought it would break loose. Who was there? My body went rigid. I didn't dare turn around. My mind was a complete blank. Was it Chloe? How did she get on my bed? Were the comments real? 1,000 thoughts exploded in my head, and a cold dread washed over me. Just then, the person behind me moved. An arm snaked around my waist, pulling me into a tight embrace. A warm chest pressed against my back. Through our thin pajamas, I could feel her heartbeat. Liam, her voice, thick with emotion and impossibly close to my ear, was unmistakably hers. It really was Chloe. I was so scared I started to tremble. I tried to pull away, but she just held on tighter. "Don't move," she whispered, burying her face in the crook of my neck. Her breath was hot against my skin. "Let me just stay here for a little while. Just breathe you in." Her voice had a pleading, almost childish quality to it. Nothing like her usual reserved self. My mind was a chaotic mess, but also being held by her felt nice. Her embrace was warm and smelled faintly of her shampoo. It was strangely comforting. I stayed frozen like that for what felt like an eternity, until her breathing evened out and she seemed to have fallen asleep. I cautiously shifted my weight. No reaction. Slowly, carefully, I turned over to face her. In the dim moonlight, I could just make out her features. She looked so peaceful when she was asleep. Long eyelashes, a small, delicate nose, slightly parted lips. She was actually very pretty. I watched her for a while, and the fears slowly started to fade, replaced by a different emotion. What was this girl's deal? Did she really like me like the comments said? But she was my sister. Even if it was just a name only, a favor for a neighbor. The more I thought, the more confused I got. I finally gave up and just closed my eyes, pretending to be asleep. She was out cold. In the morning, I just act like nothing ever happened. The next morning, I woke up to a delicious smell wafting from the kitchen. I opened my eyes. The bed was empty. Last night felt like a surreal dream. I sat up and stretched. Surprisingly, I didn't feel sore at all. My back felt great. Had Chloe not done whatever she usually did last night? Or had I actually been sleepwalking and somehow fixed myself? I shook my head, clearing out the crazy thoughts, and went to get ready for the day. When I walked into the living room, Chloe was at the stove flipping pancakes. She was wearing a pink hoodie, her hair neatly tied back. She looked completely normal. "Morning, Liam," she said, turning to smile at me. "Breakfast is almost ready." "Morning," I replied, sitting down at the table. I couldn't stop myself from sneaking glances at her. Did she really not remember last night? Or was she just that good at acting? "Liam, what are you looking at?" Chloe brought a plate of pancakes over and set it in front of me. "Is there something on my face?" And no, nothing. I quickly looked down and started cutting into my pancakes. "You have a day off again?" "Yeah, another rotating day off." She sat across from me, watching me eat. "Liam, if you're not busy today, do you want to go see a movie? I heard there's a new one that's supposed to be really good." "Can't. I have to work from home today," I said, making up an excuse on the spot. The truth was, I felt too awkward to be alone with her right now. The light in Chloe's eyes faded. She didn't say anything else, just quietly ate her own pancakes. Seeing her disappointed face, I felt a pang of guilt. I was about to say, well, maybe this afternoon, when my phone buzzed. It was a text from the delivery service. My package had arrived. It had to be the melatonin. I immediately stood up. "I have to go grab a package." "I can get it, Liam," Chloe said, standing up too. "You finish eating." "No, it's fine, I'll go." I grabbed my keys and hurried out the door before she could follow. The last thing I wanted was for her to see I'd bought sleeping pills. She would definitely overthink it. When I got back with the small Amazon box, Chloe was still at the table, her pancakes barely touched. I tossed the box on the couch and said nonchalantly, "It was just a new razor." "Oh," she nodded, not asking any more questions. I sat back down and finished my breakfast, feeling a sense of relief. With the melatonin, tonight I could finally get a peaceful night's sleep. After breakfast, I went back to my room to work, which really just meant watching YouTube videos. Around noon, Chloe knocked on my door and came in with a plate of fruit. "Liam, take a break and have some fruit." "Okay, just put it there," I said, my eyes glued to the computer screen. She put the plate down but didn't leave, just stood there watching me. Her presence was making me antsy. I paused the video and turned to her. "Do you need something?" "Liam," she started, twisting her hands together nervously. "Tonight, can I please sleep in your room?" I almost did a spit take. What did you say? I didn't mean it like that, she stammered, her face turning beet red. I just thought, if you sleepwalk again, I could wake you up. Don't worry about it. I bought some melatonin, so I'll be out cold tonight. I pointed to the box on the couch. See, it just arrived. Chloe's gaze followed my finger, and her expression fell. She didn't say anything. If you're really that worried, just keep an ear out, I added. You don't need to sleep in my room. Okay, she mumbled, her head down. She turned and walked out. Watching her leave with her shoulders slumped, I felt a little bad. Maybe she really was just worried about me. Were those comments all just a big joke? I shook my head, pushing the thought away. Either way, better safe than sorry. That night, I took one of the melatonin gummies before bed. Lying in bed, I felt a pleasant drowsiness wash over me. Right before I drifted off, I thought I heard my bedroom door creak open. But I was too tired. My eyelids felt like they were made of lead. I rolled over and fell into a deep, dreamless sleep. The next morning, I woke up to sunlight streaming across my face. I stretched, feeling fantastic. My body was completely pain-free. Looks like the melatonin worked like a charm. I got up and went to the living room. Chloe was in the kitchen, humming a little tune. She seemed to be in a good mood. Morning, Liam, she said, turning to smile at me. I made your favorite breakfast burritos. Morning, I replied, taking a seat at the table. Watching her bustle around, I felt a twinge of guilt. Maybe I was too harsh on her yesterday. She probably was just trying to help. Hey, Liam, Chloe said, bringing me a plate. It's Saturday. Let's go to the park. Okay. I heard the flowers are beautiful this time of year. I looked at her hopeful expression and couldn't bring myself to say no. All right, sure. Really, her face lit up like a Christmas tree. That's great. Seeing her so happy over something so simple made me smile. This girl was pretty easy to please. After breakfast, we got ready and headed out. The flowers at the park were, in fact, beautiful. A riot of reds, purples, and yellows. Chloe stayed close by my side, sometimes taking pictures of me, sometimes running off to buy me an ice cream cone. She was having the time of her life. As we passed a vendor selling balloons, she stopped. Liam, do you want a balloon? How old do you think I am? I rolled my eyes. She didn't say anything, just bought a blue one and pressed the string into my hand. Just for fun. I looked at the balloon, then at her, and couldn't help but laugh. She was so childish sometimes. We spent the whole morning wandering around the park, and then got lunch at a small cafe nearby. During the meal, Chloe kept putting food on my plate, barely eating anything herself. You need to eat too, I said, pushing a bowl of fries toward her. MHM. She took one, then looked up at me. Liam, what do you think of me? What do you mean, what do I think of you? I was caught off guard. I mean, as a person. She looked at me with a serious expression. Do you think I'm a good person? Yeah, you're great, I said casually. You're a good cook. You keep the apartment clean. You're considerate. Her eyes brightened. So, you don't find me annoying? Sometimes, I teased. Her face fell instantly, and she looked down at her lap. Seeing her so crestfallen, I quickly added, I'm kidding. You're not annoying. She looked back up, her eyes shining. Really? Really? I nodded, though I found her questions a bit strange. Why was she asking all this stuff all of a sudden? After lunch, we started to head home. At the park entrance, we ran into an old classmate of mine from high school. Liam, Kevin said, surprised. Hey man, you hanging out here too? Yeah, just getting some air, I said with a smile. You? Same, he said, then his eyes landed on Chloe. And who's this? This is my sister, Chloe, I said. Oh wow, she's really pretty, Kevin said with a friendly smile. Well, I'll let you two get back to it. Good seeing you, man. You too, bot. After he left, Chloe suddenly stopped walking. She looked at me. Liam, I'm not your real sister, am I? Well, no. You're our old neighbor's daughter, I said, confused as to why she was bringing this up. So, if I wanted to be your girlfriend, would you say yes? Her voice was quiet, but it hit me like a thunderclap. I just stood there, staring at her, at the unwavering intensity in her eyes. My mind went completely blank. This girl, she actually liked me. The comments were real. It took me a long moment to find my voice. W, what are you talking about? I'm not talking nonsense. She looked me straight in the eye, her expression firm. Liam, I like you. I have for a long time. You, don't be ridiculous. I felt a wave of panic and turned to leave. Let's just go home. Liam, don't go. She grabbed my hand. Her palm was burning hot. Please, just listen to me. I don't want to hear it. I tried to pull my hand away, but her grip was surprisingly strong. Chloe, you're my sister. We can't do this. I'm not your sister. She shot back, her voice rising, her eyes turning red. You said it yourself. We're just from the same town. We're not related at all. It doesn't matter. I was getting flustered. I'm older than you. I don't care, she insisted, her eyes filled with a mix of hurt and stubbornness. I just like you. It doesn't matter how much older you are or where we're from. I was speechless. My mind was a whirlwind. How did this happen? When did she, this shy, quiet girl? Liam, I know I'm not good enough for you, she said, her head dropping, her voice muffled. You're a city guy, and I'm just a girl from a small town. I have nothing, but I'll work hard. I'll get a better job. I'll make more money, and I'll be so good to you. Please, just believe me. Seeing her so vulnerable, my heart ached, but my rational mind was screaming that I couldn't agree to this. We lived together as siblings. It would be weird. People wouldn't understand. Chloe, we're not a good match, I said, taking a deep breath and trying to keep my voice steady. You're young. You'll meet a much better guy someday. I don't want a better guy. I want you. She looked up, her eyes watery like a lost kitten. Liam, please just give me one chance. No. I hardened my heart and pulled my hand free. Let's go home and forget this ever happened. Without looking back, I turned and walked away. I didn't hear her footsteps behind me. I knew she was still standing there. A heavy feeling settled in my chest, like a stone. Was I being too cruel? But it was better to make a clean break now than to drag it out and make things even messier later. Back at the apartment, I went straight to my room and shut the door, leaning against it, my heart racing. Chloe's confession had completely blindsided me. I still couldn't process it. I pulled out my phone, wanted to talk to someone, but as I scrolled through my contacts, I realized there was no one I could call about this. Just then, there was a soft knock on the door. Liam, are you hungry? I can make you something to eat. It was Chloe. Her voice sounded hoarse. Not hungry, I mumbled back. Are you thirsty? I can get you some water. Not thirsty. Silence. I knew she was still standing outside the door, and that knowledge just made the knot in my stomach tighten. After a minute, I heard a faint sigh, and her footsteps faded away. I let out a breath I didn't realize I'd been holding and collapsed onto my bed. All I could see was Chloe's face, her tear-filled eyes. She must really like me. You don't just confess like that unless you really mean it. But we just weren't right for each other. I was several years older, her de facto guardian. How could we possibly be together? My thoughts were a tangled mess. I pulled the covers over my head and stayed like that for the rest of the afternoon. When I finally emerged, it was already dark. The living room was unlit. Chloe was sitting on the couch with her back to me, perfectly still. Why are you sitting in the dark? I said, flipping the light switch. The light flooded the room, and I saw that she was holding a picture frame. It was a photo of the two of us from my birthday last year. In it, I was grinning like an idiot, and she was standing beside me, looking a little shy, but smiling. What are you doing? I asked, sitting down next to her. She jumped, startled, and quickly put the frame down. Oh, nothing. Just looking. Chloe, I said, taking a deep breath. About this afternoon. I've thought about it, and we really can't be together. I know you're a great girl, but Liam, it's okay. She cut me off, her head bowed, her voice barely a whisper. You don't have to say any more. I get it. I won't bring it up again. Please don't be mad at me. Seeing her look so defeated hurt more than I expected, but I steeled myself. Yeah, that's for the best. I'll go make dinner, she said, getting up and walking toward the kitchen, her steps heavy. I watched her go, a mix of emotions churning inside me. Maybe this was the right thing for both of us. Dinner was a silent, awkward affair. Chloe kept putting food on my plate, but she barely ate a thing herself. I looked at her untouched plate, feeling a pang of guilt, but I didn't know what to say. After we finished, I started clearing the dishes, hoping to break the tension. I can get that, Liam, Chloe said, rushing over. You go rest. It's fine, I'll do it. I insisted. She didn't argue, just stood beside me as I washed. The only sound in the kitchen was the running water. The silence was deafening. So, I started just to say something. I have to go over to my mom's tomorrow. I might be back late. Okay, she nodded. I can make some of her favorite cinnamon rolls for you to take. You don't have to. She has plenty of stuff. It's no trouble. I'll bake them fresh in the morning. She looked at me, her eyes pleading. Please, just let me do something, Liam. I couldn't refuse that look. All right, fine, okay. Her eyes lit up, as if I had just given her the greatest gift in the world. After the dishes were done, we went to our separate rooms. Lying in bed, I couldn't sleep. My mind was replaying the day's events over and over. Chloe's confession, her red-rimmed eyes, her slumped shoulders, the hopeful look she'd just given me. Did I make a mistake? Should I have given her a chance? But the whole brother-sister thing. My thoughts were going in circles. I got out of bed and went to the window. The moon was bright, casting long shadows on the street below. As I stared out, the text suddenly appeared again, right in front of my face. Heartbroken. The female lead is so pitiful. Rejected just like that. Clueless MC. Is the main character an idiot? A girl like that is a 1 in a million find. Truth bomb. Seriously. She's gorgeous. She can cook. And she's completely devoted to him. Tears for Chloe. It hurts so much. I just saw her crying on the couch in the dark. Inner thoughts. She's probably thinking it's because she's not good enough for him. Ship it now. Ugh. When are they finally going to get together? My stomach lurched. I tiptoed to my door and opened it a crack. The living room was dark, illuminated only by moonlight. Chloe was still on the couch, her back to me, her shoulders shaking with silent sobs. My heart clenched. She really was crying. I hesitated for a moment, then pushed the door open and walked out. Chloe, she gasped and quickly wiped her face, turning around. Liam, why are you still up? In the moonlight, I could clearly see her red eyes and the tear tracks on her cheeks. Why are you still up? I sat down next to her, my voice softer than before. Still thinking about this afternoon? Chloe looked down, tracing the seams of the couch cushion with her finger. It took a long time before she finally spoke, her voice thick with emotion. Liam, am I really that annoying? No, I shook my head. You're great. Then why won't you give me a chance? She suddenly looked up at me, her eyes shimmering with unshed tears. Is it because you see me as your sister? Because we both know that's not what we really are. It's not just that, I sighed. Chloe, I'm 5 years older than you. You just graduated. Your life is just starting. I've been in the workforce for years. We're in completely different places. We want different things. It would just lead to problems. I'm not afraid of problems, she said hurriedly. We can solve them. I'll listen to you. I'll do whatever you say. It's not about listening to me, I said gently. A relationship is a serious thing, not something you jump into. It's not a sudden impulse. Her voice dropped to a near whisper, choked with tears. Liam, I've liked you for a very long time. Since the very first time I saw you back home. I was stunned. You've seen me before. MHM. She nodded, her gaze distant, lost in memory. It was years ago when you came back with your dad to visit. I saw you at the edge of the village, helping an old man fix his bicycle. I was just passing by. You were wearing a blue t-shirt and jeans, and you had sweat on your forehead. When you smiled, you looked like a hero from a movie. I thought, right then, that it would be the best thing in the world if I could marry you someday. And then, when I heard your parents were going to have me come to the city to have you look after me, I was so happy I couldn't sleep for nights. I knew I wasn't good enough for you, so I never dared to say anything. I just wanted to take care of you quietly. I thought if I worked harder, if I became a little better, maybe one day you would finally notice me. As she spoke, fresh tears streamed down her face, falling onto the couch and leaving small, dark spots. Watching her cry, my chest felt tight, like something was squeezing my heart. I couldn't speak, so this wasn't new. She had liked me for years. All those things she did. It wasn't because I was her brother. It was because she liked me. That's why she always cooked my favorite foods. Why she remembered all my little habits. Why she always looked at me with that intense, adoring gaze. How had I been so blind? Chloe, I said, taking a deep breath. I never said I wouldn't give you a chance. Her head snapped up, her eyes wide and luminous, like stars had suddenly appeared in them. Liam, W, what did you say? I said, we can try. I repeated, looking at her seriously. But on one condition. Anything. Not just one. I'll agree to 100 conditions, she said, her voice trembling with excitement. No more sneaking around and doing weird stuff, I said, putting on a stern face. Like coming into my room while I'm asleep. Chloe's face exploded in a blush, the color of a ripe tomato. Her eyes darted everywhere except at me. I didn't. You didn't. I raised an eyebrow. Then where did the hickey on my neck come from? And why did my back hurt so much? Her face got even redder. She buried her head in her hands, her voice a tiny squeak. I just couldn't help it. Well, you have to help it now, I said, gently tapping her on the head. We're going to date properly, step by step. No more weird, secret agent stuff. Okay, I promise. She nodded vigorously, like an obedient kitten. I'll never do it again. I'll listen to everything you say. Seeing her like that, I couldn't help but smile. All right, stop crying before your face gets all puffy. I grabbed a tissue and wiped her tears. Now go to bed. You have to get up early to bake those cinnamon rolls for my mom. Okay. She nodded and stood up, but her legs seemed to have fallen asleep because she stumbled. I caught her, and her face turned red again. Good night, Liam, she whispered, before practically running back to her room. Good night. I watched her go, a smile spreading across my face. She was actually pretty adorable. I sat there on the couch, touching my own cheek. It felt a little warm. Maybe having someone care about you this much wasn't so bad after all. The next morning, I woke up to the smell of baking. I walked out of my room to see Chloe in a flurry of activity in the kitchen. The counter was covered in ingredients, and the air was thick with a warm, sweet scent of cinnamon. Liam, you're up? She turned and smiled at me, a smudge of flour on her cheek, making her look slightly ridiculous. Almost done. Just 10 more minutes. Okay. I leaned against the door frame, watching her. What did you make? Your mom's favorite cinnamon rolls and your favorite chocolate chip cookies. As she spoke, she expertly pulled a tray of golden brown rolls from the oven. When did you learn to bake all this? I asked, impressed. I learned from watching YouTube tutorials, she said, scratching her head, a little embarrassed. I was going to surprise you on your birthday. A warm feeling spread through my chest. I stepped forward and gently wiped the flour from her cheek. Thank you. Her face immediately flushed, and she looked away. It was nothing. Seeing her so flustered, I felt a sudden urge to tease her. I leaned in close, our faces just inches apart. Chloe, why are you blushing? Her breath hitched, and her eyes were locked on mine. Her voice was shaky. Liam, Her gaze was so intense, it made my own heart start to race. I quickly pulled back. I'm going to go get ready. I practically bolted for the bathroom. Looking at my own red face in the mirror, I shook my head. Get a grip, man. By the time I came out, Chloe had packed all the baked goods into neat boxes. All right, let's go see my mom, I said, grabbing my keys. Okay. She picked up the boxes and followed me out. On the way, a thought occurred to me. I turned to her. Hey, did you hug my pillow again last night? Chloe's face instantly turned scarlet. She stopped so abruptly, she almost dropped the boxes. And no, I didn't. You sure? I raised an eyebrow, enjoying this way too much. Okay, just once. Her voice was barely a whisper. Her head hung low. You weren't home, and I was cleaning your room, and it fell on the floor, so when I picked it up, seeing her so mortified, I burst out laughing. Relax, I'm just messing with you. But no more, okay? Never again, she promised, nodding seriously. Looking at her earnest face, I felt a wave of affection. Though I had to admit, the thought of her secret, obsessive little habits was kind of thrilling. But no, a normal, healthy relationship was better. Probably. When we got to my mom's house, she was overjoyed to see Chloe. She fussed over her, asking a million questions, completely ignoring her actual son. Chloe, dear, is work treating you well? Are you eating properly? Look at you, have you lost weight again? Chloe, though a bit overwhelmed, answered each question politely, her words as sweet as honey. I'm fine. Any work is great. Yes, I eat on time every day. I've been cooking a lot. I don't think so. I think I've actually gained a little. My mom was completely charmed, piling food onto Chloe's plate. Eat more. Eat more. You're such an honest child. Don't work yourself so hard. I sat there, feeling a mix of jealousy and amusement. This girl really knew how to win my mom over. After lunch, my mom pulled me into the kitchen. Liam, she whispered, is there something going on between you and Chloe? My face flushed. I nodded. Yeah, Mom. We're dating. Really? My mom's eyes lit up. That's wonderful. I always thought you two would be perfect for each other. You don't think it's weird that she's my You know, what sister? She's a neighbor's kid, for goodness sake. That barely counts. My mom patted my hand. Besides, Chloe is a wonderful girl. She's pretty, she's a great cook, and she adores you. You couldn't find a better girl if you tried. You better treat her right. You hear me? Don't you mess this up. Hearing my mom's enthusiastic approval, the last of my doubts melted away. If she was on board, what else was there to worry about? When we left my mom's house, Chloe's arms were full of leftovers and gifts, and her face was beaming. Liam, I think your mom really likes me. Of course she does. You're a smooth talker, I teased. So, does she know we're dating? She asked nervously. She knows, and she's very happy about it. Really, her whole face lit up. That's amazing. She looked so happy she was practically skipping. Watching her, I couldn't resist reaching out and taking her hand. She flinched for a second, then her fingers intertwined with mine, her grip firm, her palm warm. We walked home like that, hand in hand as the setting sun stretched our shadows long behind us, making them lean into each other. Chloe, I said, remembering the comments. Did you really? You know. Smell my boxers. Her face turned a shade of red I had never seen before. She stopped dead in her tracks, nearly fumbling everything she was holding. No, I didn't. You sure? I grinned. Oh, okay. Maybe just the one time. She mumbled, her head bowed so low I could only see the top of her hair. I laughed out loud. I'm kidding. Just, no more, okay? Never again, she squeaked, nodding her head vigorously. And just like that, Chloe and I officially started our life together. She was the same as always, cooking for me, cleaning the apartment, taking care of my every need. Except now, when it was time for bed, she moved her things into my room without any pretense. I just smiled and pulled her into a kiss. She froze for a second, then responded with a fiery passion that took me by surprise. That night, the moonlight streamed through the window, illuminating the blush on her cheeks and the happy tears in my own eyes. It turned out the comments were right all along. And you know what? I was more than okay with it. Life after that was good. It was happy. Chloe thrived at work, getting a promotion and a raise within a year. We had our arguments, of course, but she was always the first to apologize, whether she was in the wrong or not. She said she couldn't stand the thought of me being mad at her. One day, I asked her, Chloe, how are you so sure that I would end up liking you back? She hugged me close, her voice muffled against my chest. I wasn't sure at all, but I knew I had to tell you, or I'd regret it for the rest of my life. Even if you didn't like me back, I wanted you to know that someone, at some point, liked you that much. A warmth spread through my chest. I turned and held her tight. Well, I'm glad you told me, because I would have regretted it for the rest of my life, too. And it was true. I was so glad she took that risk, so glad I took one, too. Otherwise, I might never have known what it felt like to be loved so completely, to be the center of someone's world. It was the best feeling imaginable. A year later, I proposed. There was no big ceremony, no expensive diamond, just the two of us in our small apartment. I cooked her favorite meal, got down on one knee, and held out a simple wooden ring I had carved myself. Chloe, I said, my eyes shining. I know this ring isn't much, but I promise I'll work hard and buy you the biggest diamond I can find someday. Will you marry me? She looked at my trembling hands, at the hope and fear in my eyes, and she smiled as tears streamed down her face. Yes, she whispered, I will. I jumped up and lifted her into my arms, spinning her around and shouting. She said yes. Chloe is going to marry me. I kissed her forehead as she laughed through her tears. This was our love story. It wasn't a dramatic blockbuster, but a quiet, gentle stream that was warm and steady and real. On our wedding day, my mom cried her eyes out. She held Chloe's hands and made her promise, over and over again, to take good care of me. Chloe just kept nodding, her own eyes red. I promise, Mom. I'll spend my whole life making Liam happy. I looked at her, my heart overflowing. Sunlight poured through the window, blanketing us in a warm, golden glow. Love isn't a one-way street. It's about two people supporting each other, accepting each other, and cherishing each other. Like Chloe said, she would spend her whole life being good to me, and I would spend my whole life loving her right back.